a part of India that many people, especially foreigners like me, know later about, the Northeast India. This region is full of surprises, and if you think you know India, oh my bro, you don't know anything, because what I'm gonna share today is gonna blow your mind. I've done a lot of video about the Northeast, and it was so amazing. It was a nice journey. You wanna see my opinion about them? Check it here and here and here. And here on the channel is all about you and me. So don't forget to give a like and your engagement on the comment below. Let me know what you think about the video, and let's all socializing friendly and know each other through the
India comprises of 8 states. There's Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura, and Sikkim. Now, northeastern India shares its borders with Myanmar, Bhutan, and China, as well as Nepal and Tibet. Now, all these countries comprise of people of almost the same ethnic group, but even within Northeast India, the population of Northeast Indians is made up of many different races, mainly the Mongoloids, Indo-Aryans, and Australoids, or Austric and Dravidians. Now, I know that in today's modern...
You get a mix of 200 tribes, and each of the tribe has its own language, this culture, and their own way of life. It's like a mini continent, bro. It's like a mini continent, a mini region. Seriously, it's diversity I've never seen before. Let's keep on.
World, the term Mongoloid is seen as something derogatory, and many use it as an insult for people with certain forms of handicap. However, for this episode, if I use the term Mongoloid, I do not mean anything offensive at all. It's just for the sake of clarity, and I'm referring to the original use of the term. More specifically, as the term relates to people of East Asia and Southeast Asia. There's archaeological data that confirms that the Mongoloid race used to live in parts of South Asia during the Paleolithic Age. In fact, some anthropologists see modern Chinese people as secondary descendants of Mongoloids. And since
are you sure this is India?
India are also descendants of the Mongoloid.
Here, I'm very shocked.
You can see why all of these races share.
When you first meet someone from the Northeast India, you might not even realize they are Indians. And in fact, many people, especially foreigners like me, well, now I'm looking at it right here, they look like they were from China, but Korea, China, and Southeast Asia. But that's not.
In Northeast India were the Mongoloids, the Indo-Aryan, and other groups arrived later. You can see that there's a huge dominance of the Mongoloid element in the population of Northeast India. Also, in some ancient texts, the northeastern regions belonged to tribes who spoke languages from the Tibeto-Burman family. Then in other parts of the Northeast, there was a race of people who reached Myanmar from the Yunnan region of China. Also, the Métis tribe of Manipur state descended from the Tartars who migrated from China in the 13th to 14th centuries. So in short, there are more than 200 fascinating tribes in Northeast India alone who at some point in history
no comment.
Migrated from neighboring countries. The neighboring countries, specifically China, Myanmar, and Bhutan, and they all came in search of more fertile land, or to find river valleys, or to simply just invade the land. Now, I got a very interesting point here. Other than the racial differences, which I will get into very shortly, there is a whole tribal, non-tribal duality recognized by the Constitution of India that gives certain benefits to the many tribal communities in the northeastern part of India. Now, this was to help them catch up with the rest of society in educational standards, as well as standards of living in general. Now, it's because of reasons like these that northeasterners are often non-recognized and even misrecognized, or even thought of by the wider Indian society as foreigners, and they're seen as people who came from such places like China, Nepal, Thailand, or even Japan, and some call this withholding the Indianness from the northeastern Indian people, which causes people to discriminate against and marginalize them. Now let's talk a little bit about the issues that northeastern India.
This is not good. This is not good. Not feeling like a foreigner in your own country. It's really crazy. But that's the reality for a lot of people from the northeast of India. And when they visit other parts of India, they face discrimination because they look different and have a unique culture. This is why they think like that. Such a diverse country, people can still feel like foreigners at home. Seriously. But anyway, I'm really support you guys, but not to feel abandoned from your country. You belong there. It's your country, it's your home. Okay, let's keep on. Let's go.
Face a little bit more. So pretty much the people of the northeastern part of India are often even seen differently by the people from other parts of India, like I mentioned. Now, while it's true that northeastern Indians have Mongoloid features that give them unique features on a whole, many people have assumptions about them. And the biggest problem that the people of other parts of the country have is that there's just very limited knowledge about the Northeast. In fact, most of the decision makers sitting in Delhi, they will often forget this very part of the country. Also, if you think that when Indians from other states travel to different states, that they're treated differently over there, so it makes sense that Northeasterners would be treated differently when they travel outside of their states. Well, think again. Now, there are a few complications that I'm going to talk about right now, which should give you a better picture of the problems here. It's pretty much human nature. It's like burnt in, hardwired in our DNA to look at people.
So what I look at right here is that they're even kind of ignored in the corner in India. Then, in the next fact here, I realized that it's kind of bumbled, okay? Despite being such a rich and cultural vibrant region like the Northeast, I'm surprised why they can be overlooked when it comes to big national government decisions. In fact, it's almost like a region doesn't even exist. This is crazy. This is insane. It's really insane. On the radar of a lot of people in power. Imagine being part of a huge country like India, one of the biggest country in the world, okay? But your voice is barely heard. It's something a lot of Northeasterns has to deal with. It's really something. I've listened to a song called On the Cookie Lands. Shout out to you guys for Cookie Land, from Zomi. I have now learning people also from other tribes, okay? I'm not I'm not someone going against any tribe, okay? I'm just a YouTuber, and I'm just someone who really try to understand a different culture. The Métis also, I really want to understand their culture as well. We're all here for peace, not for fight. Okay, so
look like us or talk like us in a different way. So think about it though. How do you develop understanding? Well, that's through communication. Now, how do you develop communication? Well, that's by speaking the same or similar language. And you can say that the general perception among a large portion of North Indians is that the Northeastern Indians are really unapproachable. Now, people from Maharashtra, Gujarat, as well as Bihar, India, can kind of get by because their languages are similar enough to Hindi to reduce the language barrier. A lot of Indian people and Northeastern people face problems because of this, because their languages just aren't that similar. There is also a geographical barrier. Many people point out that...
Now, before we go to the number 4, this here, I'm very surprising about this. The language in the Northeast aren't anything like Hindi, Foshu, or Bengali, or any other major Indian language. So they are actually closest to the language spoken in the Southeast Asia. But it's like stepping into another linguistic universe. So if you are someone who loves learning new languages, this might be the right place for you to go learn. You know what I'm saying? This might be the right place, the Northeast of Asia, to go learn and to because of its tribe and its own dialect. Okay, let's get it. Now, let's go.
Northeast India used to actually be separated from the rest of India, and they started being connected to the Indian mainland not too long ago. Also, transport to and from the northeastern part of India is still not very developed. There are only a few trains and even fewer flights. As shown in the image that you'll see on your screen right now, there is a physical divide between the rest of India and northeastern states. Also remember that North India used to be pretty fragmented earlier on, but it got connected more easily because they were on the plains and enjoyed some cultural intermixing. And then when a ruler would occupy the region, they would then bring about their laws as well as their culture. And this created a cultural similarity in the region. Now, due to North India's geographical position, a kind of barrier was created when the cultural assimilation couldn't take place between the northeastern states and the rest of India. There's also a big issue.
Corridor. It's connected to the motherland by a tiny streak of land called the Siliguri. Okay, Siligurido, if I'm not pronouncing the word. So for a long time, that made a travel and communicating really difficult between the two parts. It wasn't until recent year that the region started become more connected. Okay, but anyway, this make it. Now, for me, the geographic isolation, I will be saying that it make it a unique identity.
When it comes to stereotyping. Now, did you know that when the Arabs began trading in India, that they started calling anyone who lived on the east side of the river Indus as Hindu? So back then, the river Indus used to be called the river Sindhu, but because the Arabs couldn't pronounce the S sound, they started pronouncing it with an H. Hence, we eventually got the name. And like most Mongoloid featured people, there's that term Mongoloid again. They're referred to as Asians, and yes, while they are all Asians, everyone isn't Chinese. But because it's easier to the human mind to classify them all together, people think that they're all the same people. So in the same way, a lot of Indian people stereotype Northeast Indians too. For fact number 2, I want to share some information about the underrepresentation in society and media. So the northeastern states aren't very densely populated in the first place. A fraction of them come to North India for education or looking for jobs. Compared to the massive crowds of people of Northeast Indians are statistically a minority. Mainland Indian society just hasn't seen enough of Northeastern Indians even after they started migrating to North India. We see Black, Asian, and Latin representation in African sitcoms, but nothing of the sort when it comes to Indian television. They aren't very well represented in Bollywood either.
Man, this is kind of... It's actually a fact. Northeast Indians barely get any representation in the Bollywood. Like almost none. And you won't see many actors or actors from the Northeast India in the mainstream in India. I don't know anybody personally. If you know anybody, that the good fact that you might not understand, and what you might not know is that the Northeast Indians, they also have their own film industries, but they still having a challenge for breaking through the big screen where the rest of Indians love. You know what I'm saying?
Priyanka Chopra's movie Mary Kom. Now the movie is based on the life of the Olympic Indian boxer Mary Kom, who was from the state of Manipur. Now instead of casting a Northeast Indian person, producers casted a not at all Northeast Indian looking Priyanka Chopra. And this is usually the big problem when it comes to representation of Northeast Indians in mainstream media.
What is this? This is
aren't
bad.
Even represented at all. And the final thing I want to share is this. So just remember that the northeastern region of India is a very sensitive one, almost like Kashmir. Now they have feuds with China over the borders of Arunachal Pradesh, and the Seven Sister States have been plagued by a lot of violence. Now the feud with India, as well as the rise of separatist groups in the northeast, as well as the retaliation by the Indian army, mistrust, loss of faith, all of that, those have been prevailing in these regions for decades. And the more that the mainstream Indians don't do to fix the racist attitudes against Northeast Indians in their heart, the more that the Northeast Indian people will feel alienated from the rest of India. Now it's because of this that Northeasterners really feel alienated, and it's because of this that, like, yes, a lot of Northeast Indians really feel completely alienated and just completely separate, and China actually sometimes tries to use this in their favor to create chaos in northeastern regions. Alright guys, so that's all I have for you in this episode. I know I covered a lot and it's definitely a sensitive topic. I tried to come from a bunch of different angles just to shed some light on the northeastern Indians. But anyways, let me...
Alright guys, There's one thing really impressed me here is that a lot of young people from Northeast India, they move to the big capital for education, to access the higher educations. It's not easy, because I remember one of my past story when I was young. I was going for a long journey just to go to learn something that they have to go under a lot of challenges just to go have the educations. And I really love that dedications to learning something seriously. Really inspire me. And this is so good. The next time you see someone from the Northeast India, bro, meet someone from the Northeast of India in the big city, you have to really appreciate that they probably travel for a long way just to be there. But anyway, today, as a foreigner and color skin, I really can relate myself to what you guys are experiencing there. Sometimes you stand out just because of how you look, and sadly, that can lead to discriminations. People from the Northeast India are often asked, "Are you Indian?" or even treated differently in a major Indian city. It's something that really needs more awareness, and because no one should feel like a stranger in his own country. Now, finally, if you're from the Northeast Indians or you know someone from there, please drop a like below, drop a comment, and I'd love to hear from your story and your experience. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the big family, the Geek, where we discuss what matters. Peace.